But what they don't say is, sometimes the truth sees you back, and it punishes you for daring to see it. Here's the brutal question no one asks. What happens to a man when he starts seeing through women? Not just at them, not their beauty, not their words, not their performance, but what's underneath. The chaos, the wound, the mask, the parts they hide even from themselves. It sounds noble, it sounds powerful, but in reality, it's a curse. Because once you see the patterns, the manipulations, the trauma loops, the emotional theater, you lose something. Not just your illusions, not just your innocence. You lose your ability to believe, to fall, to surrender, to love blindly. Carl Jung once said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But when you see hers, she won't thank you. She'll hate you for it. Because now you've stripped her of the fantasy. You're no longer her dream man. You've become her mirror. And what do people do with mirrors when they can't stand what they see? They shatter them. That's why men who wake up, men who develop vision, don't get applause. They get punished. Emotionally, psychologically, sexually. You'll be gaslit. You'll be told you're overthinking, that you're cold, that you don't know how to love. But deep down, you'll know you just saw too much. You saw the performative vulnerability. You saw the recycled Instagram wisdom. You saw the attention-seeking dressed as confidence. You saw the wounded girl hiding behind the bad bitch mask. And now you're alone, not because you're broken, but because you're awake, and this is where the real story begins. Because once you wake up to what she really is, you can't go back to who you used to be. The question is, can you survive the cost of that awareness? We'll go deeper, but right now, just know this. The more clearly you see her, the less of you she'll want to keep around. And that's not love. That's the price of truth. Let me tell you a story. Not a fairy tale, a true one. There was a man, calm, rational, focused. He wasn't loud. He wasn't broken. He just saw things. He could sense when the laughter was fake, when the vulnerability was rehearsed, when "I'm not like other girls" was just another mask. And then he met her. Beautiful, magnetic, a hurricane in perfume and perfect skin. At first it was magic. She praised his depth. She said, "No one's ever understood me like you." But it didn't take long before his gift became his curse. He saw the cracks, the shifts, the patterns. And when he gently said, "I think you're still hurting," she smiled, then pulled away. Not physically, emotionally. Suddenly he was the problem. He was too intense, too distant, too much in his head. All because he didn't fall for the show. He saw her soul when she was still in love with her mask. Here's the psychological twist. Some women don't want to be seen, they want to be adored. And if you dare to see past the illusion, you become a threat. Because now you've exposed the part of them they've been running from their whole lives. The shame, the jealousy, the deep, silent fear of not being enough. So instead of thanking you, they blame you, distance themselves from you, punish you emotionally for seeing what they could never admit. And that's when most men start to doubt themselves. They lower their gaze, they numb their instincts, they trade their insight for connection. But that's not connection, that's submission. That's choosing comfort over clarity. And that's the beginning of a slow death. So let me ask you, have you ever had to pretend to not see the truth just to keep the peace? If so, you're not in love. You're in emotional exile, trapped between what you know and what you're scared to lose. And until you face that, you'll keep calling your intuition paranoia and your wisdom coldness. You'll apologize for seeing too much. And that's the loneliest prison a man can build for himself. Carl Jung once warned, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But what he didn't say out loud is that the price of that privilege is often isolation. Because when a man begins to see not just women, but patterns, wounds, archetypes, he no longer fits in the world of illusion. He becomes dangerous, not because he harms, but because he reveals. Let's get psychological. When a man sees through the masks of a woman, he triggers her deepest shadow, the part that whispers, if he sees the real me, he'll leave, just like the others. So what does she do? She self-sabotages, she tests, she plays cold, hot, gone, not to protect herself, but to confirm a prophecy, I'm unlovable. And when you walk away, she says, see? I was right, but the truth is, she never gave you a chance to love her without the lie. Let me give you an image. You're in a gallery. Every painting is flawless, perfect colors, balanced lines. But then you walk into a hidden room. One canvas, unfinished, torn, raw. And in that moment, you feel more than beauty. You feel truth. That's what seeing through a woman is like. You see the unfinished painting, the brushstrokes of pain, the cracks under the makeup. And the moment you say, I still see beauty, she panics. Because she didn't ask to be seen. She asked to be admired, not understood, not known, just wanted. And now you've made her real. And she doesn't know how to live without the fantasy. But you've already changed. You can't go back to pretending, to performative love, to surface-level flings, because you're no longer seeking women. You're seeking depth, alignment, authenticity. And that, brother, is the beginning of your isolation and your awakening. So here's the truth. Seeing through her wasn't your curse. It was your initiation. Welcome to manhood. You weren't cursed for seeing her. You were chosen because the ability to see a woman clearly beneath her beauty, her performance, her pain is not weakness. It's sovereignty. But now comes the hard part. What will you do with that vision? Will you beg to be loved by someone terrified of being known? Or will you walk away? Not in anger, but in peace. Here's the golden principle. You are not here to fix her story. You are here to write your own. And in your story, love is not a negotiation with shadows. It's not a rescue mission. It's not, I see your darkness and now I'll shrink to fit it. It's, I see your darkness and I will honor it, but I will not be consumed by it. There's a difference between understanding someone and losing yourself in them. Let me say that again. Compassion is not self-erasure, and seeing her pain doesn't mean you must carry it. You are not built to bleed for someone who's not ready to stop cutting. You are not cold because you chose peace. You are not cruel because you chose solitude over submission. You are not broken because the world can't understand your clarity. In fact, your clarity is what makes you rare. Remember this, a woman who hasn't faced herself will never be able to face a man who sees her. So if she runs, don't chase. If she attacks, don't absorb. If she disappears, don't shrink, just stand. Still, clear, unapologetic. Because truth doesn't need validation. And a man who sees has already won. He may lose the girl, he may lose the illusion, but he gains something far greater, himself. You walk away, not with fire, not with rage, but with stillness. And in that stillness, you begin to rebuild, piece by piece, layer by layer, not the man you used to be, but the man you were meant to become. You realize now, you never lost her. You lost the illusion. The role you were playing, the performance you thought was love. And what did you gain? Vision, peace, power. You no longer apologize for your perception. You don't shrink when you notice what others miss. You don't question your gut when something feels off. Because now you trust yourself. You've faced the mirror. You've stood in truth. You've watched a fantasy fall apart and chose to keep standing. That's not heartbreak. That's initiation. You didn't fail a relationship. You outgrew a game. You stopped asking, why can't she love me? And started asking, why am I trying to be loved by someone who hasn't even loved herself? And that question, that one shift, rewires your entire life. Because now you don't need to be understood to feel whole. You don't need to be desired to feel worthy. You don't need to be chosen to feel enough. You choose you. And that choice, that's your armor. That's your crown. You've walked through the fire. You've seen behind the curtain. You've carried the weight of another's unhealed past. and survived. That makes you rare, unshakable, ready, not for another mask, not for another storm, but for a woman who says, I see you too. That was never the curse. It was the beginning of clarity. The real curse was thinking you had to apologize for it, hide it, mute it, make it less intense just to be accepted. But now you've outgrown the apology. You've reclaimed your gaze. You've remembered seeing clearly is not a flaw. It's a gift. Yes, it may isolate you. Yes, it may cost you connection. Yes, it may make you misunderstood, but it will also do something else. It will attract those who live in truth. It will repel the mask wearers. It will protect your peace. It will honor your soul. This is your power now. You don't just look at people. You see them. And more importantly, you see yourself. No more chasing potential. No more fixing the broken. No more dating their trauma and calling it love. From this day forward, you choose alignment over illusion. And if that means walking alone for a while, then so be it. Because the man who can walk alone in truth will never be lost again. This is your mirror. This is your message. And this is your moment. If this resonated with something deep inside you, don't scroll, don't forget, don't numb it. Sit with it, feel it, and then live it. And when you're ready, there's more truth waiting for you in the next video. Because this wasn't the end. It was just the first time you finally saw it all.